Welcome to the Cannifornian Podcast. I am your host, Kevin, and I'm joined today by my producer, Danielle. Today, we are going to have our first ever guest, and I'm so excited for all of you to get to meet her. This episode is sponsored by Caliva. Caliva offers the highest quality cannabis and CBD products, along with the best rated cannabis delivery service. No need to wait all day for your order to arrive. For your convenience, Caliva offers deliveries in less than an hour for the Peninsula San Francisco area. Get cannabis on your terms. Visit Caliva.com to learn more. So, welcome back to the Cannifornian Podcast.
Woohoo, back.
We are back again, episode 2. We made it.
Yes.
So, today's going to be fun. We're going to be talking to a pretty cool person today. Her name is Lizzie Micheals.
Mm-hmm.
She's an Army veteran and a CrossFit instructor.
Yes.
And she has a really cool story about her CBD and hemp use. So I'm excited to talk to her about it, find out a little bit more.
Yeah. I think that she's a super awesome girl. I had a little conversation with her. Really awesome. And I think that the conversations that you guys are going to get into are going to be pretty eventful. I think we're going to dive into CBD and how it works with the body and just learn a little bit more about how a regular day person can consume it and it can help them.
Totally. So let's do a little bit of a recap of last week's episode.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about what CBD is, how it interacts with the body, why might people be using it, and how they're using it. And we're probably going to get into that more today. If you'd like a little bit more information, you could check out our first episode on the Cannifornian Podcast, anywhere podcasts can be heard.
Cool. So let's give Lizzie a call.
Hello?
Hi, Lizzie. Are you there?
Yes, I am. How's it going?
Doing well, Lizzie. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Great. So we just wanted to get to know a little bit about you. We know that you're an Army veteran and a CrossFit instructor. A pretty interesting background. We just wanted to get a little bit more information about where you grew up and what were your formative years like?
Oh man, that's a loaded question.
Is it?
Where do I start?
Where are you from? Where are you from originally?
I'm from Pennsylvania. So I grew up on a farm out there. I didn't move out to California until 2015. So always grew up very active, always working hard.
I would imagine.
Yeah, good time.
Cool.
Learned a lot as a kid.
I'm sure. So growing up in Pennsylvania, I know that East Coast cannabis culture is maybe a little bit behind what's going on here in California. What was kind of like the view on cannabis in the area where you grew up in those days?
In those days, you make me feel old.
Oh, no.
I'm 33.
Okay, that's young.
I feel like I'm 90, Well, they say a year in the Army is like 7 on your body, so that's basically how I feel. I have 8 years in. East Coast, I mean, they're obviously still behind. My brother still lives back there, so I go back once, maybe twice a year to go visit him and my niece and nephew. And it's still kind of everything's under wraps. You can't just go places. CBD is bigger out there.
Sure.
Now it's starting to get a flow. But for me, just personally, I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. So
wow.
Very controlling religion. So it was the devil's lettuce to me.
Oh man, yeah.
That's how I grew up. What is this stuff? This is bad. Big mindset change for me too as I got older and started to look more into not just smoking weed or anything like that, but learning more about it and its health benefits.
Totally.
And I'm a huge advocate of it now, especially from my own personal experiences.
Sure. Growing up, did you do any of your early day experimentation, or did you keep it pretty PG?
No.
Nothing.
I was so well behaved.
Wild.
I didn't smoke anything probably until 2015, honestly.
Yeah, fair enough.
I worked in I again did a lot of physical labor growing up, worked at a horse stable. construction, things like that. But once I got into the service industry and actually started working at a restaurant, then I started to be around it more. But I just never, I mean, I was offered it, you know, if everyone's in the kitchen, you know, we'll smoke out back after work or whatever.
Cool.
But I just never got into it. I just didn't know the effect it would have on me. I was kind of in a rough place. So I used to have issues with, like, I don't want to be out of control of myself. Kind of weird for me. I didn't want to take that chance, especially because I wasn't really good friends with those people that I worked with. Yeah, so for me, you know, smoking the first time, I wanted to be around people that I trusted.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I just never tried it.
Yeah, and I'm sure
Boy, was I missing out.
I guess better late than never, right?
Yeah.
So CrossFit, that's like super specific. Yeah. It's interesting. So what kind of got you into CrossFit? It sounds like you were super active coming up. What led you to become what got you into CrossFit originally? And when did you, or how did you decide that you wanted to actually move forward and become a coach and actually instruct people on CrossFit?
Well, even though I was like super active growing up, I never got to actually work out in a gym. Okay. It was like I started running, like that was my thing. And then even once I was a little older, so I joined the Army I was 25. So I was a little older than most people that I went to basic training with. You know, they're all youngins. But knowing, I mean, I was strong push-ups, sit-ups, running, because I knew that's what I had to do. But I just started working out at home, doing little things here and there. Then after basic training, I actually had, I started CrossFit before I joined the Army. So that was kind of, there was a gym closed. I knew a couple people that went there, and I wanted to start actually lifting. And I wanted a community because I wasn't very confident in myself just going to a gym and trying to figure out what to do, which I know a lot of people, a lot of members that I have come in, just my own clients, they don't have that confidence. Like anyone can walk into a gym and you can kind of like watch what other people do or try to look at the little pictures on the machines, but it's hard to get the full benefit of a workout if you don't truly understand or have guidance, you know?
Yeah, I like that.
So I jumped into Stroud CrossFit back home, Pennsylvania, and really, really loved the community. They helped me a lot, you know, through different hardships and learning more about the lifts and learning more about my own body, what I could handle was great. Basic training, though, I actually blew my shoulder out within the first couple weeks. So that was kind of hard. I stayed in training and then ended up breaking my pelvis. First off, I don't know how to slow down. I'm not one of those people that can just sit off on the sideline. So when you get injured, they want you to, obviously you have to rest. You're still doing everything with your platoon, going through all the training, but they don't push you so hard on the physical stuff because otherwise they end up having to pay for, you know, surgeries and things like that, or you get sent home. So I focused, when my shoulder was injured, I just focused on doing a lot of lower body and really, really dropping my run time. Cool. So they ended up telling me, thankfully they had some like physical therapists and people who did manual therapy, kind of like a physical therapy, more than just regular doctors. So they helped me see that my muscles just bulked up way too quick and it was putting so much pressure on my bones. Wow. That we did, I remember, like, you know, my pelvis felt kind of weird. I've never pulled a groin muscle or injured anything like that. So I didn't really know what was happening. Maybe I just pulled something. We had a platoon competition to do. So it was actually an obstacle course through the woods. Kind of like the things you see on shows. Like you have to go over these low walls. You're climbing ropes. You're going under barbed wire, running through the woods. So we did one whole run of this obstacle course with the whole company. And then they broke it down into platoons and we each had one female and two males to go through it. Okay. To see who could get through it first, you know, and win. I remember looking at the guys and I was the only female that could climb a rope at that point, for my platoon. Nice. I looked at the guys and I was like, listen, something's wrong. I'm not sure what it is. So if I slow down just don't let me slow down. Like, keep me moving.
Yeah. Push me.
Yeah. And I mean, because I thrive in that, and I don't like to let my people down. So
Yeah.
I want to carry the team. I got to the last obstacle, which was, you're going through like a sand pit under barbed wire, and I stood up and I couldn't move my leg.
Oh, damn.
I was like, what's going on? And we lost. We were second by like 8 seconds.
Oh no!
And I still to this day blame myself.
Oh no! Oh man!
But it was they always, whenever in training, they always have a medical team there just in case someone does get hurt. So they pulled me aside, they checked my movements, and I was like, I can move, but for some reason, like, it's hard. I can't lift my leg. Like, it's excruciating pain.
Weird.
So they put me on a truck. We went back to the company. We had to put all our gear on and then march to a shooting range.
Okay.
While I was marching, I heard a snap in my leg, like I fell out of formation.
Oh no.
So yeah, where your pelvis comes down and you have those two like little horseshoes in the back.
Okay.
Called your pubic ramus. So I actually snapped the bottom left side.
Wow.
So standing, I was fine, but every time I moved my leg, it was just pulling that bone apart.
Oh man.
So I still had to walk. Like, they're like, well, I'll just fall back, get there.
Yeah.
So a couple other females were there to help me, but I mean, it was probably the worst pain I've ever felt because every step was just pulling my bones to pieces.
It sounds excruciating. I'm surprised that they. I mean, I guess you have to be in your formation. You got to stick with the team.
Right. Yeah. Don't be a little bitch. Get back in line, basically.
Right.
And it was an injury that they couldn't see. It's not like my bone was sticking out. It's not like I had an open wound. So, but my drill sergeant knew the kind of person I was and that I wasn't faking. So I still had to walk myself all the way there, and then from the range to the doctors. And then we found out my pelvis was broken. So
wow.
Just all the injuries. I made it through basic training. They wanted to send me home, and I said no because there's no way I'll want to come back and restart this crap. Ugh. I was like, I'm too old for this.
Oh, no.
So my drill sergeant, actually, he had my back, and he was like, okay, like, I believe you. As long as you promise me you are going to get everything done, I will go to the commander and talk to her about it. So I finished everything. I graduated just fine as a military police officer, and but it took about a year for my pelvis to heal. And they didn't give me anything. They would give me ibuprofen. And so, like, I never got any kind of pain pills, which I'm glad, but I just kind of pushed through it.
Okay.
And even when I came back, it took 4 years to get in for surgery for my shoulder.
Wow. Wow.
And in that time, I blew out my other shoulder.
Oh, no.
Because there was so much overcompensation, and I was working out all the time.
Yep.
They didn't put me in physical therapy or anything. So that's like just a little of my story. I've had both labrums repaired in my shoulders. My pelvis, it's healed, but I still have like tightness, and it's uncomfortable here and there with certain movements. But that was huge for me to be like, I don't want anyone else to get hurt like this. Especially in CrossFit, there's this stigma of,
yes,
you're just thrown into a class, you're thrown under a barbell, everybody hurts their back, which if you know what you're doing or you have a coach that will guide you properly, you don't have to worry about getting hurt unless you're doing something stupid.
Right.
Or not listening to your body. I deployed to Guantanamo Bay in 2014.
Oh, wow.
Worked in the prisons there. And that was rough. I mean, it's like a cake deployment. You're not in combat, but it's much more mental, emotional.
Yeah.
Of a drain and a strain on you.
I would imagine.
It's so political. You have eyes on you all the time because there's always talk about Gitmo, and detainees and 9/11, and then, even now. Right. A lot of talk about it. But when I came back from there, that's when I moved out to California, and I was dealing with a lot of depression, a lot of PTSD from deployment, but also from my childhood. So I had a lot of stuff to process through.
Yeah, it sounds like just an
Just plus
accumulation of.
my yeah, and pain and injuries because I hadn't had my shoulder surgeries yet. So when I came out here, I joined another CrossFit gym, and that's where I work now. So I was actually a member there first, and just realized like this is what I want to do. Like something in the the fitness field. I really want to combine my knowledge of mobility and corrective exercise that I have certifications in to help
Sure.
people avoid getting hurt and getting back to their workouts. Like there's no reason you have to live in constant pain, but not everybody knows that. We just kind of, like I do, you just like deal with it. Oh, I'll just push through. But
Right.
you don't have to do that. So that's really my mindset around it. And I also now, like I have a life coaching cert and a lot of the counseling and energy work and healing I've done for myself. I now do a combination of that for people. So as a trainer and, I coach classes, I have one-on-one clients, but I have some clients who don't even come to me for fitness. They come to me more for that,
Just the
the mental
motivation.
emotional side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I love doing because it's all combined. If you're not healthy or you have injuries or you're unhealthy mentally or emotionally, that affects your body just as much.
Absolutely.
Or if you have pain, it's usually your body telling you, hey, there's some sort of imbalance here and we need to fix it. Like we need a change. So I try to do a combination of all that kind of work to help people, be their best selves
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
live pain-free or, at least lessen the pain
Absolutely.
physically or emotionally.
At what point
Mhm.
did you come across cannabis or realize that CBD or hemp were good forms of alternative healing for either you or your customers or clients?
Yeah. Well, I moved out here for a dude.
Classic.
Who I swore I wouldn't do it. But huge learning journey. I have a wonderful boyfriend now and things are really good, but
Good.
I wouldn't be the person I am if I hadn't gone through 4 years of turmoil with this guy. But
Right.
when I moved out here, obviously, weed, I don't know if weed was legal at that time or not. I can't remember the timeline. But I smoked with him
Okay.
and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like I feel all right. And he ended up getting, I was about to leave him because he was extremely abusive,
Oh no.
but he ended up getting into a motorcycle accident.
Oh wow.
Some car cut him off. He broke both his legs. So I ended up staying because I felt obligated to help him heal and fix himself. But
Sure.
in that time, as he was healing, I was going through therapy through the VA, dealing with my, my shit from Gitmo and my past.
Yeah.
Really trying to put it all together. And as painful it is, you have to dig into that stuff to actually heal, right? You have to
Yes.
get it out
Yes.
and, try to let it go, process it. So I was going through that while he's, injured and healing. So he smoked a lot to help his pain. Because it got to the point where they didn't want to have him on pain pills anymore.
Right.
So I saw how that helped him pain-wise, but I also saw how he depended on that and how it would make him foggy all the time, and then combine all his issues too.
Sure.
So I kind of backed off a little bit. Like I saw benefits, but I was also trying to protect myself.
Right. Preserve your mental
Then I
clarity.
looked into more CBD. Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
I looked more into CBD because, having a job and having to work, I couldn't be high all the time. I didn't
Right.
want that. I want to be able to know what's going on.
Gotcha.
So I tried a couple different kinds. I wasn't real consistent with it, so I didn't really see a benefit
Yeah.
at first.
Right.
And then I was on anti-anxiety meds. I had to take sleeping meds, meds to help me concentrate. And I just hated that feeling. I always have. I've been I'm not against medication, but I definitely through my experiences and the more researching and stuff I've done, there's so many better ways to deal with pain and to heal, even from injuries or health issues, than being on medication all the time. And it just seems like the VA just kind of, oh, this is your problem here. We'll put a Band-Aid on it.
Right.
And I just kind of got tired of that. I hated that feeling of like I would take my anti-anxiety meds, but it would make me feel like loopy almost.
Yeah.
That wasn't cool. Like I can't be my best self or just kind of numb whatever's going on inside of me by being on this medication.
Totally.
So it was on and off for, let's see, I was with him for 4 years. Again, like I said, extremely abusive,
Right.
and in all aspects. And it got to the point where he, 2018, I guess now, he tried to kill me.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
it was serious. And that at that point I was like, you know what? I have every justification. I can have no guilt, and I was done. Like I finally left.
Yeah.
So I had to go through, the police reports, and then they lost my report and had to redo it. So it was so extremely emotional and draining to have to like repeat the story over and over again. But it did get to the point where I had to get a restraining order against him because he wouldn't leave me alone. So just trying to process through that, my therapist through the VA, she wanted to put me on medication again.
Sure. Yeah.
Just to get through this hard time. And I said no. This time I said no. I said, this is so much deeper. I do not want to numb myself to what I'm going through. I need to be aware. I need to understand everything that I'm feeling, and I need to feel it and work through it.
Sure.
Otherwise, it sticks inside of you and it pops up, down the road.
Totally.
So that's when I started looking more into hemp and CBD, because I wanted to have that more natural healing and something to help me keep calm and help me stay focused. And it was actually a friend that I had met in Pennsylvania. She's in Florida now, but she started using full spectrum hemp.
Okay. Yeah.
So I talked to her about it. I was like, I hate buying products and not really knowing what's in them. Are they science-backed? Is it just because CBD suddenly became really popular?
Yeah.
And everyone's talking about it.
That was a tricky time too, because like you said, a lot of people just kind of threw CBD and some oil, and you had really no idea where the CBD came from or what else is in there. It's tricky.
Yeah. And I never really thought about that in the past when I had tried it. So I wanted to have a better understanding of the product and actually give it a try before, I start talking about it to other people.
Absolutely.
She was huge on it. She deals with migraines and
Sure.
even like hormonal acne, and she's been through some traumatic stuff in her life. And she said, this has changed everything for me.
Wow.
So I tried the full spectrum hemp. I've been using it for 6-7 months now.
Cool.
I put like a full dropper in my coffee in the morning.
Nice.
If I feel like I need some more later on in the day, I'll do, a little bit more. And I was able to get off medication.
Wow. Awesome.
Even going through some deep, dark healing processing that I've done.
Yeah.
I was able to do it and not have, not sink back into my depression and my anxiety, bad days here and there, but I feel lighter. I feel like I can function all day long. And when my workload is crazy, I don't feel overwhelmed. It keeps me, I'm okay. I'm good. My aches and pains aren't nearly as bad as they used to be. Yeah. And it's consistency too. Right. And that was a big change for me. Like I took medication every day. Why can't I do this every day?
Totally.
And so once I started doing that, I feel great. I use another hemp oil that has some other added vitamins to it for sleep.
Okay.
And I actually sleep well, so I don't have to take sleep medication anymore, because that made me feel disgusting too. You wake up groggy, you feel like hungover.
You get the crazy dreams.
Oh yeah. And I used to have really bad nightmares. Like fighting, like, and it all stemmed from childhood trauma and then things in the military.
Yeah.
And so I never felt rested. I would wake up in a panic and just constantly on edge. Like you feel like you're hanging on a cliff and like you have one finger left to hold you.
Right.
And that's all gone.
That's awesome.
I mean, here and there it comes back. It's like you can't just make shit in your past disappear, but I'm well rested and I can be my best person, for my boyfriend, for my service dog, who I've used CBD for him too.
Cool.
But for my clients. And I can be that example of like, listen, I went through some stuff in my life and let me help you, get through whatever you're going through, or, to heal your, if your shoulder's bothering you, just whatever it is.
And
this is a much more healthy and natural way.
Do you recommend full spectrum CBD oil to your clients?
I do. I actually have. I usually tell them about it. I never want to be pushy because I have like one client, I think she's 19 or 20 and she's been dealing with really bad anxiety. Like it's hard for her even to come into the gym.
Wow. Yeah.
So I mentioned it to her and I was like, just take it. If you're kind of weird about it during the day, like take it before you go to bed. So you're at least getting sleep because she'll stay up till 2 a.m. and then she can't get up the next day. And just to be an example of like, this is what helped me.
Yeah.
I can only give suggestions, it's out of my scope of practice to like recommend things.
Yeah. You're suggesting it. You're not, not as like a medical professional, but more as like a friend and almost like a counselor.
Yeah. This is what helped me.
Totally.
I want it to help you.
Totally. And just for the listeners that may not know what full spectrum CBD is, basically full spectrum CBD is you're extracting all of everything from the plant. So last episode, we talked a little bit about like cannabinoids. And in your cannabis hemp plants, you have a full range of cannabinoids. A lot of CBD products are made from something called CBD isolate, where it is literally just that, just the CBD mixed into some sort of oil. Maybe they add some other sort of like, aromatherapy or like some terpenes in there for some combination types of effects. But the full spectrum's nice because like you said, it does have like that little bit of THC, a full range of terpenes and other cannabinoids in there. And a lot of people report that combination, they call it like the, I think it's like the cohort or the entourage effect, the entourage effect of all of these different cannabinoids really is effective for treating just like a number of things. Like just listening to you, it's so cool to hear how you've been able to attack so many different, I hate to call them issues, but things that you've been able to work around. Yeah, I guess
tribulations.
Yeah, some serious tribulations, and just listening to you, you sound so upbeat and as if you're just, clearly like a very strong person.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My journey has definitely made me that way. Having faith in God, He's been with me the whole time, even when I felt completely alone. But that too is what, like another thing, I'm like, why would God have created, hemp in general? Like it has healing, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not powers.
Yeah, powers works. Healing. No, totally. Totally. And it's crazy too that we have this system in our body that these cannabinoids interact so perfectly with. It is almost like design. You know what I mean? It's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting.
There's a reason it grows on the earth.
Totally. So
why do we keep pumping ourselves full of pharmaceuticals?
I know. Well, since you've gone through this journey now and you've seen these like very positive effects, has your family's view on cannabis or CBD changed at all? Now saying that like it's really benefited you, or is it something that you're even open to talk to them about?
I've talked to my brother about it. Actually, the rest of my family, we have both been disowned because we're not Jehovah's Witnesses anymore.
Oh, wow.
So we've never actually been able to discuss it. But with my brother, he kind of, he grew up as I did, right? So he had the same view on it until, we got older and then realized like it's not evil.
Yeah.
There are good things about it.
Sure.
So yeah, even when I was there last time, I think I had my sister-in-law use it because she was kind of overwhelmed. And so she got to feel like, okay, yeah, this is kind of nice.
Sure.
it's just helpful and kind of calmed her down, helped with the stress levels a little bit. So yeah, I'm not like a seller. I'm not like a pushy person, but when I can be like, hey, this shit actually works.
Yeah.
I can get behind it.
Totally.
For sure. You know, that's why I try to share it with everyone.
Yeah, the pandemic has made it hard to get a good workout in. Like, motivation gets low. You're sitting at home. You know, I'm really missing my yoga studio right now, like my instructor guiding me through the experience and the sense of community of all of the yogis around you also joining you in the session. But what's cool is we don't have that, but all throughout the month of April, Canniva is going to be hosting virtual free 420 sessions on their website. And included in that is actually like a yoga cannabis session where you go, you're guided through a yoga session. You're going to be smoking weed with like-minded weed smoking yogis.
That's cool.
Very
That's
exciting.
Cool. What about for people who don't really want to like work out while they're smoking, you know?
Which is probably a lot of people. They have all sorts of cool stuff. You could also join, they have a baked infused brownie session where you get to make some really nice pot brownies with a expert cannabis infused baker who will teach you how to make really good Canamix. Very exciting. You also have like a strain testing session, which is kind of like a wine tasting, but instead of wine, it's weed. Rather than having a sommelier with you, kind of guiding you through the experience as your expert, you have a connoisseur who is kind of like your sommelier of weed, and he will guide you through your cannabis smoking session.
Fancy.
Very fancy. You also can learn how to roll a doobie.
Nice. I actually don't know how to, so this will be cool.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I feel like it's like locking some sort of code.
I'm excited. So when are these available?
So this is all throughout the month of April. And the best part about it is that they are free.
Oh, yes.
They are free. All you have to do is go to Canniva's website and sign up for their 420 virtual sessions. Not only is Canniva offering these free virtual 420 sessions, but for any new customer to Canniva, you can receive 30% off using the code CANNI30 for all podcast listeners. That's CANNI30, CANNI30. Get cannabis on your terms. Visit Canniva.com.
So I started, I became an ambassador for the company that I use the hemp oil from. So as I have people buy it, then I kind of get money towards it. So it helps me with what I use, which is nice.
That is nice.
But my boyfriend's mom's boyfriend got diagnosed with cancer last year, I think right before all the COVID stuff happened. And it was stage 4.
Oh, wow.
Liver, I think it was. And like it was spreading pretty fast.
Yeah. He
ended up going through treatment and using hemp oil, and he was smoking for his pain. His tumor shrunk 75%.
Wow.
He walks every day. He still rides his motorcycle. He's doing really well compared to what we thought. We didn't think he would last very long. So they started using the full spectrum hemp oil with silver in it, and he uses that on the daily. And she uses it too, and she said she finally sleeps well. Like, she's not so on edge about him, and they absolutely love it.
That is.
And her friend
awesome.
Just talked to me about, she has rheumatoid arthritis. She's been on medication for over 10 years, and she's tired of taking medication.
Yeah.
And so my boyfriend's mom was like, hey, reach out to Lizzie because this stuff works and it's natural. And so I was on the phone with her the other day, and I said, why not put natural things in our body? Because our body is always going to try to heal itself.
Of course.
With arthritis, like, inflammation is your body's natural reaction to stress and imbalance. But then you're adding a medication to it, and she said she has to go get blood work regularly because she needs her liver checked all the time because the medication's like destroying her insides.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she just got, like, you could just hear this relief in her voice of like, I cannot wait to try this because I am so tired of the medication and how I feel on it. So she should be getting a bottle of the hemp oil this week. I'm really excited to talk to her again and see how it benefits her.
Yeah, that'll be cool to hear. I used to work at a dispensary prior to getting into like wholesale distribution and some of the other aspects of the cannabis industry. But day to day, I was dealing with, at the time, it was medical patients. So even before Prop 64, before it was recreational. And a lot of people actually have had lots of awesome results with full spectrum CBD oils, THC, CBD combination type tinctures and products with the RA. It seems to work pretty well, actually. I had a lady who would come in and her knuckles would be like, you could physically see them swelling on her hands. This is so painful. And she would come in, she's like, Kevin, I am hurting so much today. She was just the sweetest lady, like somebody's mom, you know what I mean? Somebody's mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this lady, and she would get such a great benefit from cannabis. And she was actually, so she wasn't even using hemp or CBD. She was actually specifically using the swollen knuckles lady. She was just smoking weed. She was smoking THC, and that seemed to help her out quite a bit. Do you still smoke THC as well?
Yeah, here and there. Just not as much as I used to. But I also had to be really careful because I was in the military.
You're right.
So
we'd
we'd have urinalysis tests regularly, and it was random as to who was going to get picked for it. So I would smoke when I was in, but I had to make sure I took like a week off before, and I couldn't smoke all the time.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of stressful. It was like, well, is it worth it when I have to stress about getting in trouble?
Yeah.
Because even, like, just to give a little bit of information, like, even as a cop, like, you can't take anything that's hemp, even with the, the trace of THC.
Oh, wow.
Like, you're not supposed to, right? Because you can't have it in your system.
Totally.
So that's like CBD is a little safer in that way. But I remember at my unit, there was a poster up, and it was like a certain granola bar that was popular at the time, but it had hemp seeds in it. And we weren't even supposed to eat that.
Wow.
Just because of those tiny trace amounts getting in your system.
No way.
Because if you pop pot on a piss test, you're in trouble.
Wow.
You get paperwork written up, it can get pretty serious. Especially if you're depending who your chain of command is too. If they're not, if they're by the book, by the law.
So has anything?
So I had to be really careful back then.
I would imagine. I would imagine it would be nerve-wracking too, a little bit, like knowing that you're gonna have to go in there and potentially, spark some flags.
I swear, it was like I went like 3 years of not getting picked for a piss test, and then all of a sudden it was every month.
They're like,
was on the list.
Like, why is Lizzie so chill all of a sudden? she seems extra mellow.
Everybody knows.
It's the high paranoia kicking in. That's why we have CBD though, to bring us back down, right? That's all good. Wow, so it was explicit. Has anything changed at all? Like, now that things are opening up a little bit and laws have changed, is it still completely like absolutely no CBD, even isolate form, or can you or are they starting to open up to it a little bit?
I think more like the CBD, because it is isolate, and it's more isolated to just that, and you don't have that chance of the THC as much. I think you can get away with that, but something, it can put your career at stake. So you have to pick and choose.
It's like, what risks are you willing to take?
Even in California, like, it doesn't change the military. Even though the laws are different here than other places.
Sure.
There's one law straight across.
So now that you're out,
which is kind of.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's frustrating. Like, obviously you don't want your soldiers out back smoking, but if you can, I don't know if you could get prescribed something like that, because they'll put you on opiates,
right?
And you can do your job on those,
right? Which
but you can't take something natural like that would help so many people with like major PTSD or like limbs missing. Like, why can't we? Like, that's something I would love to be a part of. If somehow we could,
some sort of activism,
soldiers and veterans more options.
Yeah. So as a veteran, are you still subject to tests, or is there a possibility that you may miss out on any sorts of benefits because of cannabis use at all? Or now that you're free, it's like you're on your own, you do what you want to do, you live your life?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now that I finished my 8-year contract last month, so I'm out now. But yeah, even I don't think there's any issues with it, even like through the VA, because I'm service connected. So because of my injuries and stuff, like I get full medical through the VA.
Yeah.
And it's never been a problem. I've never
Okay.
had any issues with it. Like if you do have marijuana in your system, I don't think it would change your benefits.
That's good. That's cool.
Like I've never personally experienced it, and I've never read anything about it.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, don't quote me, but I don't think it would have an effect.
Gotcha. Well, I know you're like a very active person, obviously. Are you like a big sports fan, would you say?
Kind of.
Ish.
I'm a Packers fan.
You're a Packers fan? Nice. Nice.
I am.
Very good. Have you heard about like any of the things
Very much.
any of the things going on in the NFL, like in MLB, and people being able to use cannabis and CBD? Like, how do you feel about that?
I think that they're allowed to.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
actually haven't heard anything.
Yeah. So actually, the NFL and the MLB, they're just recently, they're now allowing people to use cannabis and CBD products, and they're not going to be held liable for anything, and there's not going to be any penalties if they are to test positive.
Oh, like Michael Phelps.
I know, Michael Phelps.
Fiasco.
Oh man.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was a while ago. I think that was like 2008 Olympics or something like that.
Oh my God.
I know.
Time flies.
Time does fly.
I think it's so smart because, I mean, with how much Michael Phelps had to eat, like,
oh yeah,
and train.
Oh yeah.
Like I get the munchies when I smoke, and I need to eat like 2,500 calories at least a day. It's very, very hard to do. I rarely get that much in.
I'm sure
but if I had
hard.
the munchies all the time, I'd be golden.
Yeah, smoke a little doobie and you're ready to go. You get those muscles pumping.
Yeah, I think it's really smart.
I think so too.
Maybe they'll stay off the drugs, you know, and beating their significant others.
I was just going to say that might actually make them a little bit more chill. So maybe there's no beating anymore. Sorry, NFL.
There's no fighting. There's no, Well, hey, I'm just going off with the stories.
Yeah, right? Like nobody's tackling each other anymore. They're kind of just like giving each other hugs. And like, all right, we just kind of.
Like, oh, yeah, hey, do you want the ball?
Here you go, man. I'm kind of over this ball anyways. Oh, man, that's funny.
Imagine what the world would be like if everyone just smoked some weed.
Just a little bit of weed? Oh, yeah. There's definitely some people that can use it. Yeah, just the right amount.
I mean, I was going to say like Snoop Dogg, but maybe, I don't know, he might have taken it a little too far.
He's kind of made a whole career out of it, though. Like, good for him, honestly.
He really has.
He was like a cannabis advocate before they were cannabis advocates. I like that.
Yeah.
I guess not before, but.
Let's lead the way.
Yes.
It's kind of cool. There's, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard of Marshawn Lynch, but he actually started his own cannabis blunts company. And like, I feel like now that NFL and MLB is kind of like letting these people, you know, do these things, they're starting to take on these like new business ventures that are probably pretty entertaining, probably pretty cool for like their fans.
And lucrative for the individuals on their business ventures.
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to make money off it.
Yeah, you know, they're stuck on that too. What is...
And people look up to them. So if they can be, you know, advocates for, you know, weed and, you know, CBD and stuff like that. And again, the benefits of it, so people can actually see that might help get it out there a little more.
Right.
You know, so
and these
it'd be really good.
And these people are
you're just like not sitting out back smoking and drinking and, you know.
Yes.
Douche.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not like some pile, like you're competing at the highest level of sport and you're still using these, or you have experience with these products and look how far you've gone. It's an example, like it kind of kills the stereotype of the lazy stoner, which I think is important, is kind of something that it's a struggle to move past. Using your platform. Correct. In a good way. Absolutely. What's the CrossFit scene look like with cannabis? Are a lot of CrossFitters using cannabis? I mean, you're telling me about the crazy injuries you sustained and what you've been through and all the stuff you worked into. How does it look like? Are your colleagues and peers also using cannabis CBD products? I know a few that do.
not as many at our gym. I mean, I don't know everyone, kind of up close and personal.
Yeah,
We've had a lot of new members coming in. I know some people do. I also have like a CBD lotion too that I use like when I'm actually doing some manual therapy on people.
Oh, cool.
To help pain levels. So I kind of passed that around too. Like, hey, there's these other options. One of our other coaches, she had a hip labrum surgery several years ago, and she still deals with pain. Like her SI joint will go out here and there. So I use it on her. So she I don't think she uses it herself. Her husband's a cop, and so they just really don't have anything like that in the house again because he can't use it.
Right.
But she definitely enjoys the benefits when I get to do some work on her.
Yeah, it's like hush hush. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, yeah.
Gotcha. So it sounds like it's not like I think of like a yoga community, you know what I mean? Chances are good you could kind of like chit chat with somebody after class and be like, hey man, like what's going on? You want to go smoke a doobie? It's not like that in CrossFit. Maybe people are just secretly.
I mean, maybe. Secret smokers?
Secret smokers, right? There's so many of them.
I mean, I know there's a few that we've set out back. I mean, when I'm teaching, obviously I have to I don't want to get myself in trouble.
Sometimes too, like it is a downfall that, people who use CBD and cannabis do get that judgment of like, oh, you're probably just this lazy stoner, or you don't do anything, you probably just eat a ton of munchies. So I can imagine that people who like are in CrossFit are super active probably don't want to like share that as much because maybe they don't know that other people are using it, or they're just like don't want to come off as like that stereotypical cannabis CBD user.
Yeah. That could be a part of it too. I know like a lot of people I follow through Instagram, like some of the athletes I really enjoy, Dave Lipton and his wife Camille. She was a CrossFit Games athlete. He's like a bodybuilder, and they promote it a lot. They say how it helps them too. So I do see it spreading more and more through the actual like CrossFit athletes.
Cool.
And showing the benefits and how it helps them recover and not have the aches and pains, and so it's good. It's getting out there for sure.
Yeah, getting the good word out there.
But I still think there is that stigma around it of like, you're a stoner if you smoke. You're doing drugs.
Right.
And without seeing the actual health benefits of it.
It seems like the change is coming. So you came from the East Coast, right? You came to California. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with all these issues, physical, a lot of these things that a lot of us experience. One of the big problems I feel like that people experience, or like a barrier to entry into cannabis, is information isn't super readily available. What were kind of like your resources that you turned to as you were getting into cannabis to find out information and learn more, to feel a little bit more confident about diving into these products? Or was it more like strictly just word of mouth, or did you actually use some resources?
I guess I kind of just did online searching.
Gotcha.
I think the first actual bottle of like CBD, so I might still have it somewhere because I never finished it. I was at a Fit Expo in San Jose because I used to sell fitness apparel also.
Cool.
So I had a booth set up, and I met this guy, and he had a table set up with all little bottles and droppers and things like that, and it was like this brown watery liquid. And
yeah.
He's like, you can add it to a bottle of water. It doesn't, it doesn't really have a taste or a smell, because I didn't want to have to worry about that. And that was the first stuff I tried. And so I just kind of looked into the pamphlet that he had.
Okay.
He was kind of strange. So I was like, I don't know if I really want to continue taking this.
Strange how?
Asking for more information.
Strange how?
Well, it was a Fit Expo, right? So everyone's like either super jacked or wanting to be super jacked. So he was, he was shirtless. And
Nice.
I don't know. He was just, I don't know. He just gave
just
vibe.
a little
sketchy.
sketchy.
Yeah. He gave me some weird vibe.
Yeah, it felt like you were buying CBD outside of Abercrombie store.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Weird.
He had like a scarf on though, like no shirt but a scarf.
Just my neck is cold.
I don't know what look he was going. Just my neck and my chesticles are cold. But I guess to be completely honest, I really didn't do a ton of research. Like I did want to know the different parts of the plant. My ex had some relatives who actually grew weed, so I got to be hands-on with it too, help them trim and dry it and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Which was that was really neat.
Tedious, right?
But never really. So I learned, yeah. Oh my God, my fingers. Oh, just little scissors.
All right.
So I got to learn more about the plant itself, doing that. So that was a really cool experience. But then honestly, trying to find the difference between what would work best for me, I didn't look into until I started using this new product from Q Sciences. I wanted to see, okay, like we were saying before, are they just putting stuff in a bottle and adding a bunch of other, like some supplements? They just add a proprietary blend of a bunch of crap.
Right.
It's CBD because there's like a tiny bit in it.
Yeah, like a little sprinkle.
Yeah.
Right.
But it'll help you, I promise, for $100 a bottle.
Right.
So I wanted to look into the company too and the science behind it and actually see, like I do the same thing with, my proteins and supplements I take. I like to make sure the company is actually putting the work into the product.
Sure.
So it has full benefits and you're getting the full benefits of not just what you're paying for, but the products that they're putting into it. And it's not just a bunch of fillers. And then being able to see the personal benefits I had for a friend of mine. That was like one of the biggest things. So she was telling me all about it too. So a little bit of word of mouth, like you were saying.
Gotcha.
A little research here and there. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. That sounds about right. Just that's how it's been for forever. It seems like the resources are coming up a little bit more and more. Now we have podcasts. I mean, you can listen to this on Spotify and the Apple Podcasts and get a little bit of weed information. It's like, who would have ever thought that? I don't know. Growing up, I'm
it's
sure.
So taboo.
Right? I'm sure growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, you didn't think you were going to end up as a military veteran, CrossFit, CBD advocate talking
covered in tattoos.
Covered in tattoos. Too fun. Oh, love that.
Yep.
Cool.
No, I never did. That's why it's just so crazy how my life has gone. Like I used to struggle so much with my faith in God because of how I grew up. And then I got disfellowshipped. I got kicked out because just certain things. And if you do anything that you mess up, we're imperfect. We all mess up, right? But if you mess up to the point where they don't want to forgive you, they kick you out, basically telling you you're not good enough and Jesus' sacrifice doesn't apply to you. So that's how I felt. So I was like struggling with all my experiences with life. Like, is this all karma? Am I being punished?
I can't imagine.
What purpose do I have in life if I'm just this, waste of a person because I've made mistakes in my life?
Oh, man.
Yeah, very, very, a lot of struggle.
That's heavy.
But where I'm at now, and it's still, I still get those like little triggers here and there. I'm like, oh, no, wait, reel it back in.
Yeah,
You're good.
You're good.
So I can use these experiences, and like I know that I have this purpose now to use all the things I've been through, and where I'm at right now, like my military career, even just like using the CBD and the hemp oil, like how can I help other people avoid pain that I've been through or to heal from pain that they're going through?
Yeah.
So it's like finally now I see this purpose in front of me. This is actually the second podcast I've been asked to be on, and it just means so much to me. Like I just want to thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Before I forget.
Yeah.
But being able to talk about experiences, being able to talk about abuse and depression and anxiety, and actually the things that can get you through that.
Yeah.
Seeing people, I've had friends of mine commit suicide, being in the military, dealing with people with PTSD. There are ways to heal. There are ways to be healthy and to actually be able to enjoy your life. Doesn't mean you're not going to have pain or struggles, but there are healthy ways to process it so you can actually enjoy daily living.
Yeah.
Without it being, so hard to just get out of bed every day.
Right. No, we appreciate you coming on and sharing that story, because like you said, it's really important for people to know that they're not alone, and that other people are experiencing these things, and that they've had an opportunity and an ability to kind of work through these things in a more natural way, not numbing their brains or poisoning their livers and shutting down their physiological function just for the sake of like being numb, when you can just use something that has just been provided to us by the earth. You isolate some things, you bottle it up, and you take it, and you have some awesome effects. And and your experience and your story is invaluable to those who are looking for somebody to turn to, and maybe don't have the confidence to maybe take the leap, or maybe they come from a background like you did. Maybe they're they grew up in a religious family, and they were told that it is the devil's lettuce.
Told it's a gateway drug.
Yeah, it's the gateway drug. Yeah,
That's my absolute favorite phrase. The devil's lettuce.
The devil. I know, it's so good. The devil's
like
lettuce.
He's out back in a garden with his pitchfork, like throwing weeds.
He's trimming. He's got his trimming shears.
We should change that name to holy lettuce, because I'm pretty sure that makes a lot of people feel a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Lizzie, I just wanted to just point out, like, going off of what Kevin said, like, your story is so much more relatable than I think that you even realize.
Totally.
To other people, because
to so many people,
you're so relatable.
Really?
And just
I would say so.
Yeah, just the activities that you're into. I mean, I know a lot of people that, were in the Army too and don't even have this outlook. And, I think that this opportunity for you is just really a good opportunity to really let other people hear your story and like benefit from it. And I feel like you can inspire a lot of people just by giving us your story today.
Yeah.
Stop. You're gonna make me cry.
It's true. A lot of people, I think.
No, that means so much to me.
It really is true. I think when we are experiencing these things, like anxieties or thinking about our past or injuries, I feel like a lot of our natural tendency is to kind of shut down. It's to shut down and hide.
Listen to your doctors, whatever they're telling you to take. Right.
And there's sometimes
you can't question them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, you can, but that's a lot of times the feeling you have. Like, well, they know what they're talking about. I don't know anything.
Yes.
You do what you're told.
But yeah, back to
with your podcast.
Sure.
What else do you do to help get this out? Like all the information out to people and spread knowledge.
So there's a website, thecannifornian.com, where you can find weekly published articles covering all sorts of cannabis news and culture subjects.
Nice.
Yeah, we talk about, different research studies. Like you talked about like gateway drug, for instance. So there was an article about how cannabis actually may potentially be an exit drug, and how in Canada there was like a small research study about how people using cannabis actually ended up having to use less opioids with less frequency, etc. They talk about like CBD and exercising, all sorts of different cannabis news and cannabis information on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you can check it out, thecannifornian.com, on social media at the Cannifornian, and there's links to all that sort of information out there. And this podcast, I think, is kind of like the next step into getting the information out there, because I feel like, I mean, it's kind of sad, but print in general, electronic, whatever, it's not dying, but it's slowing down. You know what I mean? Slowing down, and people like auditory. Yeah.
It's definitely a lot harder to market with cannabis and CBD too, just from like a digital marketing standpoint. And I think that this podcast and just talking to people like you is what's really gonna bring out that realness about CBD and cannabis. I think more than an article can teach somebody. People can go read an article and find out a lot of knowledge and find out whatever they need to know. But I think really listening to somebody talk about their experience has more of an emotional hold onto it.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah, I mean, just hearing, when you talk to someone, even if you're not face to face, like we're not face to face right now, but you can tell a lot about a person and you can hear the inflection in their voice. You can feel energy through, through the way people talk.
Sure.
And I feel like we don't do enough of that. It's all, we text and we email, and
I know.
especially with all this COVID crap, people
know.
just aren't face to face anymore, and we're like losing that. And you see the younger generations, like that girl I mentioned, that client of mine, her anxiety started to get really bad over this last year because she wasn't interacting with people.
Right.
And she's not even like a little kid, she's 19, 20 years old, but really struggling because we're not having the same interaction and learning from other people's stories, and finding out what's helping you get through this, this is what's helped me. Like, we share, we have to build each other up and continue to spread the knowledge that we do have.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that your message is going to reach a lot of people, not only through here, but through your other avenues, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere, or do you want people to know where they can follow you, or maybe get information about you, or know who you are?
Yeah, my Instagram is probably the easiest. My coach's Instagram. It's all lowercase. Actually, I'm going to look just to make sure.
Yeah, give yourself
a
shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Is all lowercase, Coach Lizzie, and Lizzie spelled Lizzie _87.
Awesome.
That's where I post my workout stuff, nutrition stuff. I post about the CBD oil and stuff like that on there. Just everything. Yeah. The physical and, like I said, the mental and emotional side. I'm happy to share my story with anyone because they might share it with someone else, even if it doesn't apply to them personally. It's, again, just spreading love and light and healing.
And we need more of that. We really appreciate that. And we really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lizzie. We really appreciate this. This was an awesome conversation.
It worked out perfect. I love being able to tell my clients, like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to bump you like half an hour because I have a podcast I need to be on.
You can have them all listen after this.
Oh, that's awesome.
But that leads me into being able to tell them what the podcast is about.
Exactly.
And then being able to share that. And again, that's just, you get the snowball rolling.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And thank you for being such an awesome guest and helping us work through our podcast jitters here. We're new podcasters,
Yeah, you're our first guest, and I think you killed it.
Are you really?
Yeah. This is our second podcast ever.
I feel honored.
Thank you guys so much for listening in this week. Thank you to Lizzie so much for joining us today on the Cannifornian. Really enjoyed talking to you. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to Lizzie's story as much as I did. I really enjoyed talking to her. I hope that she serves as some inspiration for those of you who are maybe a little bit unsure or had questions, or maybe you're experiencing something or have gone through some similar experience that she has gone through. And maybe she's going to serve as like a little confidence boost to get you into your cannabis and CBD journey, if that's something that'll benefit you. Always remember, tune back in every other Tuesday for a new episode. And please make sure to subscribe, rate, and download on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to check out thecannifornian.com and our socials at The Cannifornian. If you are looking for the highest quality products but don't know where to start, order with Caliva. To learn more about their wide selection of top products, including tinctures, flowers, edibles, pre-rolls, and more, schedule a virtual consultation with a Caliva wellness consultant. Shop in-store at one of their California locations or get it delivered to your door. Get cannabis on your terms. Visit Caliva.com.